Hi.
Well, hello, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
We're excited over here.
We are so glad to have everybody here today on behalf of the Gregg County Historical Museum. Did you get to visit with Miss Dolly?
Oh,
I noticed
yes.
that's where that song originated, you know. That's not, you believe that, don't you? Of course you do. Welcome. So glad to have you today. My name is Oliver H. Pegues, and my claim to fame is that I was Longview's very first postmaster, appointed in 1871. Now, do you have any idea why I, of all people, would have been appointed the very first postmaster? You ready?
You had the first truck.
I was a first-class male.
Aw.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I also had the distinction of serving as the Gregg County Treasurer for 25 years. In fact, I succeeded my father, who had been the county treasurer for a couple of years, and at his death, I ran for election and was elected and succeeded him and stayed in office for 25 years. Now, the Pegues family goes way back. We were originally French Huguenots. They were members of the Reformed Protestant Church of France. That did not go over well with the Catholics. So there was a lot of division there. The Huguenots wound up leaving France. They went to other countries. Some of them, fortunately, came to the United States in the 1700s. They settled in South Carolina. And I'm proud to say that several of my ancestors fought in the American Revolution. In 1830, the family moved to Mississippi. And I was born in Mississippi in 1847. Then my parents got really smart and they decided to move to East Texas. So they came to East Texas along about late 1840s. I was born in 1847 in Mississippi. I was only 3 years old when they arrived here. I believe it was 1850 when they got here. They settled on a farm near Camden, which was located between Longview and Kilgore. Now, of course, at that time, there was no Longview or Kilgore. In fact, there was no Gregg County. We were a part of Upshur County at that time. Now, there were some exciting things that started happening along about 1870. In December of 1870, I got married to my first wife, Henry, and we were living in Hallsville, as a matter of fact, because the railroad, the Southern Pacific Railroad, was building westward, and they had gone from Shreveport to Marshall to Hallsville, and now they were laying track heading this direction. Well, Mr. Methvin, the father of Longview, deeded some land and for a new town site and for a depot, and so they decided to call the new community Longview because you stood on the tall hill, Capps Hill, right downtown here where the water tower is located. It used to be a much taller hill than it is now. They used a lot of that hill to they quarried it for downtown buildings many, many years ago, but it used to be much taller, so they were standing up on top of the hill, and Mr. Methvin, of course, said, the engineer, one of the surveyors said, you know, there certainly is a long view from up here. And Mr. Methvin said, young man, you have just named the town, or at least that's the official version. We're glad he didn't say you sure can see a fur piece, because you know, what are you going to do? Anyway, so the town came into being, and the railroad finished the track to Longview, and on February the 21st, 1871, the first train was going to arrive from Hallsville into the new town of Longview. Well, the mayor and all the dignitaries from Longview rode out to Hallsville. They boarded the engine. I was already out there. I had a little dry goods store in Hallsville, and I got on the train too, but I was going to get to Longview to look for a house for my bride and myself. So anyway, we hopped on the train, it started chugging along. Everybody was in a wonderful mood. Flags were flying. It was a wonderful occasion, and we got about 2 miles and the train jumped the track. Well, everybody had to pile off the train. They finally got the train back on the track. We started up again. We got another couple of miles and the train left the track. Well, by the time it happened the third time, I noticed that we had stopped adjacent to Old Man Green's farm. They were friends of mine, the Greens, so I got off the train again, went over, borrowed a horse, rode into Longview. I got to Longview hours before the train ever arrived. As a matter of fact, that train did a round trip, 20 miles from Hallsville to Longview and back, and it took them a day and a half to make that trip. So fortunately, the travel got a lot better shortly after that. Longview became a real railroad center, and I wrote my memoirs, and in there I mentioned that when the train finally came to town, the good citizens of Longview had built 32 saloons to be ready for all the railroad workers who came to town. Longview was a wild and woolly place in the 1870s, I assure you, especially the junction, which was located just east of town. There were a lot of saloons and some gambling dens, and there were all sorts of interesting things going on over at the junction. But finally, we annexed the junction in 1904, and it kind of simmered down just a little bit. So, as I said, my daddy died in 1875, and I ran for county treasurer and was elected and served in that position for a long, long time. Now, I went into business with my brother Doc. We had a dry goods store, and we had all sorts of ladies' fashions and gentlemen's clothing and shoes and notions. We did really well. And problem was that in 1888, the dry goods store went belly up. We had to file for bankruptcy. Now, I will admit to you that was a little embarrassing. Because I was the county treasurer. I'm supposed to be able to handle money, but we had a good reason for that. We had bad weather for about 3 months. Not quite as bad as what the East Coast is going to have next week, I understand. I keep hearing about that. But folks couldn't get to town to buy items. They couldn't get to town to pay their bills, and so we had to close the store. But after that, I went into the cattle business and banking, which is kind of ironic since I'd just lost the store, but I went into banking as well. My first wife died, and then I remarried my precious Emma, and we were blessed between both wives with eight wonderful children, and I had a wonderful life. I was active in the First Baptist Church here. I taught Sunday school for years. In fact, was the Sunday school superintendent for a long, long time. So anyway, I was 89 years old when I died in 1937. It's kind of sad. It was in early 1937, and you know, the Longview Lobos were supposed to have a really good team in 37, and somebody told me they wound up winning state late that fall, but anyway, I wasn't around to see it, so what are you going to do? So anyway, on behalf of the Gregg County Historical Museum, thank you so much for being here today. Hope you enjoyed seeing all the rest of the kindred spirits that we have here today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben.